everyone. My name is Chef Andrea Young, and I am indeed a vegan chef and the founder of Sweet Vegan. Tonight's class is going to be a live interactive demo, and together we are going to be making my infamous strawberry sensation chocolates. So thank you so much for joining me. There's going to be a couple things before we get into our chocolate making. This is going to be an introductory class. So we are going to be covering a whole lot of ground in many subjects together. So I have a question for you all tonight. How many of you out there in our class are going to be actually making the recipe? So if you could put in the chat right now so I could kind of keep track of you, we want to make sure we give you a little extra tender loving care and that you're going to be following me through every single step that we're going to be making. So while you're putting those answers in, if you're not making the recipe tonight, please do follow along with the recipe that's been given to you. And if you need an extra copy, you're certainly welcome to reach out to me on my email, and I'll be happy to send you one. And I'm going to be giving you lots of tidbits and suggestions in the kitchen. So you'll want to make some of those notes. You'll have them for when you're cooking next time in the kitchen and making this recipe. So do we have any sort of idea of how many people will be making the recipe? Okay, it looks like we have one participant. That's super. So whoever you are, thank you so much for making this recipe along with me. And I will from time to time ask if there's any questions. And that's of course going to be directed personally to you so that you can reach out and let me know if there's anything that you need a little extra help on. So now I would like to share with you a little bit about a couple of thank yous of people that have been so important to me in my life. And first is VegMichigan and Olivia. I so appreciate the warm introduction and making me feel right at home here. And especially VegMichigan and all that they do. I happen to love their philosophy, their outreach, and most importantly, how they give back to the community with all of those programs you heard about this evening. And of course, something like this cooking class fits right into there. So everything they do with love and a plant-based platform. So I support that and I commend you and thank you for having me here. Not once, but a second time. So I appreciate that very, very much. Now, two other extraordinary women that are in my life, and they are behind the camera tonight, making me look good in front of the camera. And they are two high school interns, Karen and Erica Dobachuk. They are indeed more than just sisters, they're twins, and they are recipients of my WIW program, which stands for Women Inspiring Women. So thank you both, Erica and Karen, for everything that you do to make this tonight's presentation a complete success. And now I would like to share with you a little bit about an overview of what we're going to be doing here this evening. So it's all about chocolate and it's all about strawberries. So come on over and let's take a look at this beautiful, amazing display. And this is something that we'll be working on together. And right in the center is what's known as a ganache. So we're going to learn and make a ganache here tonight. And then we're going to have some fun with strawberries and learn where strawberries come from and more about all the benefits of strawberries and other fruit. And of course, chocolate and strawberries together are just made in heaven. So we're going to learn all about tempering. We're going to learn about how to take our chocolates and add our strawberries and add our chocolates to it and learn all about the science and the art of making chocolate dipped strawberries. So stay tuned because this is going to be a whirlwind tour. It's going to be an overview of chocolate and we're going to learn so much together in the next hour, hour and a half. So first off, I'd like to ask you, do you know what the definition of a ganache is? Well, a ganache is a French word for a rich, creamy chocolate filling. And it's used in confections and it's made with cream and chocolate traditionally. And tonight we're going to be learning all about making a plant-based ganache. So really only 4 very simple ingredients and a great chocolate, and you too can make an amazing ganache. So come right into my kitchen now and let's, as I say, get cooking. And before we start on our ganache, is there any questions? Is there anybody that has anything that they need to learn or to ask right now? Okay, super. So we're going to start, and I'm going to introduce to you this wonderful little saucepan. It's from Cuisinart, and I just got it at a very inexpensive little discount store. It comes with a cool lid. So it's nice to have things that are easy to work with. I like it because it has a grip handle, and it also has sort of like a heat absorption on it. So the first ingredient we're going to put in our saucepan is 1/8 of a teaspoon of sea salt. And then our next ingredient is going to be 2 teaspoons of coconut sugar. And if you haven't worked much with coconut sugar, it's such a delight. It has a wonderful aroma to it. And when you heat it up on the stove, it makes your whole kitchen smell like a wonderful piece of caramel. It's so wonderful and delicious. Now, we only need 1/2 of a teaspoon of coconut oil. So you can barely see it in here. And the last ingredient in our ganache for our liquids is 1/4 cup of rice milk. And when you pour this into your container and your measuring cup, please be sure and shake it really, really well, because rice milk very easily separates. And you can see it's kind of separated in this little container. So I'm going to just mix it up really quickly so you can see. Just like that. So those are the main 4 ingredients to make your own ganache. And we're just going to blend this together ever so slightly before we put it onto the stove. And it went from sort of a bright white to a wonderful light caramel color. And on the stove, that will be going in just a minute. And before we do that, we want to introduce the star of tonight's recipe. And that's, of course, our chocolate. And I like to use a dark chocolate. I like to use chocolate that's organic and fair trade. And of course, these are called frequently coins. They can be called wafers. They can also be called calais. But the important thing is to use a high quality organic chocolate and fair trade. And this chocolate happens to be soy-free, nut-free, gluten-free as well. And now I'm going to introduce a little trick for your kitchen. This is a little container from OXO, and I happen to love it because it has all these different ways to measure from milliliters, cups, and ounces. It's flexible. You can go right into a microwave. It's got a cool little pour spout. So OXO makes these. You can order them right online. So we're going to put this container with our chocolate in the microwave for just about 1.5 minutes. So while that's heating up, let's take our liquid ingredients to the stove. And at the same time, I'm going to turn on one of my other burners with some water in it. And this is going to be the start for our water bath. This is just making a quick little short change so we don't have to wait so long for the water to heat up. Okay, so I'm tilting this so you can see the liquid. Our goal here is to bring it to a simmer, but not to a boil, because we really don't want this to heat up to the extent that it's going to be, we're going to lose the ingredients. And while this starts to heat up, I think it's time for our very first trivia question tonight. So this is an easy one for you guys. Who consumes more chocolate? Is it men or women? And while you're thinking about that, getting the answers in, I can tell you right now, just being on the burner for just a few seconds, it's already the coconut sugar and the caramelization. It's smelling so mouthwatering delicious. So if you have an answer for me, again, the question is, who consumes more chocolate, men or women? Well, I'm sure we all got this right. Of course, it's women. And it's twice as much women consume as men. So you can see we've got nice little bubbles on the outside. and we heard a little beep. So we're ready to turn off our burner and go back over. And let's see what our chocolate looks like. So let me show you what it looks like. You can see the coin still, but you can see how melty it is. And now let's add our liquid ingredients and mix this up. You want to make sure and scrape everything out because it's all about the balance between the solid and the liquids that makes your ganache the perfect consistency. And now we're going to blend this together. And eventually, in a matter of a few seconds, it will become from being kind of liquidy to kind of a medium solid. You can see already it's getting a little thicker. And you want to make sure and scrape all around the edges. And it should look pretty much just like this when it's done. So it's got like a thickness to it. And just think, with 5 ingredients, you've got an amazing ganache without any animal products. And when you whip it up just a little bit, it gets nice and shiny. Okay, so our ganache is ready to get poured. And what I like to do when we're making this recipe is to have some fun. So you could find some inexpensive little containers, make sure that there's a lid. And then what I'm going to suggest is line the container with some saran wrap and make sure it's nice and flat in there. And then we're going to fill it right now with our ganache. And we're going to have a fun shape when we're finished. And you want to make sure you scrape everything out so all the ingredients go right inside. Now, after you've done that, you'll just cover it up with the top of the saran wrap. And you'll just do a little tap to even it out. You can see it's nice and even now. And just cover it just ever so slightly. And then take your lid. And just like this, you're finished. Voila. And in the refrigerator it goes. Now, if you're in a rush, which many of us always are, you could certainly add this into the freezer for about a half hour. But typically it's about 3 hours in the fridge. And you can make this the day before or the morning, and then you could just add your fruit and your decorations and your strawberries later on as well. So we'll put this in the fridge, and we'll be looking at that in a little bit. Okay, so our very next thing we're going to be talking about is our prep for some things. And we're going to want to take our strawberries right out of the refrigerator. And I have a beautiful bowl of strawberries right here. These are all organic strawberries. So you'll want to take these out and rinse them off and just let them air dry on a towel. And I've already done this, so we're ready to go. And now what we're going to do is start learning more about the tempering process. So people will ask me, why do you need to temper chocolate? What's the importance of chocolate tempering? Well, I'm here to share with you that the process of tempering is all about the crystals in the cocoa butter and having them broken down and realigned. And when they do realign, they makes the chocolate shiny and smooth and finished. So when I tell you chocolate making is part art and part science, this is the science part right now. So I'm going to show you some examples of tempering that I've done myself that are somewhat successful and then a lot less successful, and then some that's beautiful. So you decide and let me know what you think. So here we have some chocolates, and I'm going to put them in my hand so you can see them. And right here, you can see these are two of my Dreamy Bite chocolates. But of course, the chocolate on the left looks delectable, smooth and shiny. All the crystals are in alignment that we discussed. And then, of course, the chocolate on the far right leaves a little bit to be desired, right? Well, of course, you can see that the crystals have separated and what's known as bloom has occurred, which is when they have white streaks on the chocolate. You can also see how you have the crystals that are totally covered one edge, little pock holes, and all kinds of, almost looks like it has a little disease. But the bottom line is, if I was to cut these open and you were to taste these were made at the exact same time. And the flavor profiles would be very similar. So it's more of an aesthetic, but since we all eat with our eyes, we of course all really want to enjoy the beautiful, rich, dark chocolate on the far left. So now we're going to actually do the steps to learn some tempering, and we're going to start tempering and making that happen with our strawberries in just about 5 minutes. So I'll put our chocolates back for later. And let me reintroduce our amazing chocolate. This is the dark chocolate, and this is the same chocolate that we put into our ganache. And this is about 3/4 of a cup. So I'm putting it in this bowl, and then we're going to give it a water bath on the stove. So let's make that happen right now. So we're going to be heating this up. I'm going to take our heated up water and put this right on here. And I'm going to turn the stove on, of course. And for the first few minutes, there's really not much that we need to do because we're going to just let this melt. And while it's melting, I'm going to share with you a little bit about the tempering process. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a thermometer that looks like this. This is from Taylor. And this is one of the brands, but there are many brands out there. And when this melts, we're going to actually get a baseline to see what the temperature is. And our goal for this particular chocolate is to bring up the heat to about 114 degrees. And that is the break point for the crystals. So we want to bring it up to 114 degrees on the stove, check it, and then we'll take it off the stove and we're going to bring it down into a tempering range of 86 to 88 degrees. And that's when we can dip our strawberries or any other fruit we might want to have to make it look absolutely beautiful. So while that's happening, I think it's time for another trivia question for this evening. So our next trivia question is, which continent in the world produces the most cacao? So while you're putting that into the chat, I'm going to start stirring a little bit because you can see this is starting to melt very nicely. Okay, so do you have some answers in the chat? So again, the question is, which continent produces the most cacao? So if you thought it might be South America, you would be totally incorrect. It is actually beautiful Africa. Africa is known worldwide for the leading production of cacao. Now, our next question leading up to that is, what are the countries in Africa that are known for the highest production of cacao? And I'll give you a hint. There's 4 in Africa. So the top 4 countries in Africa. Okay, now you can see how nicely this is. It's nice and melted. You can still see some of the wafers or the coins in here. But now we're going to do what's known as a baseline. So we're going to check our chocolate right now and see what the temperature is. And remember, our number to reach is 114. Okay, we've got a ways to go. but we've got to start. Okay, so you have an answer for me or 4 answers for me? So again, the question is, what are the top countries in Africa for cacao production? So the first country worldwide is Ivory Coast. The second country is Ghana. The third country is actually not in Africa, and so we'll be coming back to that. The fourth country is Nigeria, and the fifth country is Cameroon. So I hope you got some of those right. And let's check out how our temperature is right now. Okay, we're getting closer. I think a question just came in, and that question is where to buy the chocolate. Well, I'm here to share with you that I source my chocolate from 3 different companies. I'm happy to share them with you. Company number 1 is Santa Barbara. It's out in beautiful Santa Barbara, California. You can look them up. The second company is Davis, and they're based in Mishawaka, Indiana. And the third company is Guittard. And Guittard you can buy commercially quite easily. I know they sell it at Whole Foods, most likely Whole Foods where you have near you as well. So those would be my 3 suggestions for starters. Okay, so now we have the question, what is the third country worldwide that produces the most cacao? We've covered Africa. We know it's not in Africa. So if you have a thought on that, please add it to the chat. And if you get this one right, you go to the head of the class. And look how beautiful and gorgeous our chocolate is right now. Okay, the answer to that question is beautiful Indonesia. Indonesia is third country in the world in terms of top production. It's an amazing country. I have never been there, but I would love to. And I would also love to try the chocolate when I go there. And if we were sitting down together right now, enjoying some chocolate from Ivory Coast perhaps, and also from Indonesia, we would tell a big difference in taste. Why is that, you might wonder, when they're both chocolate, both cacao plants? Well, the reason is it all depends on the harvesting time, the soils and the nutrients in that soil, the rain, and of course, just nature and environment, the entire ecosystem. So I would love at some point in time to actually try some Indonesian chocolate. But until then, we have this amazing experience tonight. And tonight we're using our Guittard chocolate. So we're going to check this out right now. And we are right at the point where we can take this now off the stove. We're up to 114 degrees. So now you want to be a little careful because it's a very hot bowl. So I like to wrap it in a nice big warm towel. We're going to bring it right over to our countertop and grab it onto the edge. And what we're going to want to do now is to bring this temperature down because it's really hot, right? So the way we do that is we are going to take what's known as sea chocolate. And again, sea chocolate is nothing different than the chocolate we've been using in our ganache and also our chocolate dipping. So we're going to pour this right into the center. This is about 1/2 cup. And it will melt very, very quickly. And what we want to do as it's melting is to keep stirring it and aerating the chocolate because you want to really bring that temperature down. And this is the easiest way to do that. So I think another question came in, a very good question. What other milk do I recommend? Okay, I had suggested a rice milk, but there's many other milks as well. So it's a great question. I know you can use oat milk. You can also use coconut milk. And you can also use soy milk. Those are the 3 milks that I've used. I've also used almond milk. I've tried all of them. And the reason why I use a rice milk is mainly because I choose to be a nut-free company. So everything I do is going to be without using nuts because of the allergens. And also, I find that the flavor in an almond milk can kind of add a bit more of the flavor to the chocolate than I might like. So I like to keep it very, very simple. And I find rice milk has almost no flavor. It's very, very minimal. And therefore, it really doesn't take over anything. So you can see right now, I'm really turning this and bringing it around and around and around and letting it get cooler. And also just pour it so it has a chance to get a little bit cooler with the air. Now I have another trivia question for you. How many people worldwide consume and love chocolate on a daily basis? So is that answer A, 1,000 people, B, 100,000 people, C, 1 million people, or D, 1 billion people worldwide consume and love chocolate on a daily basis? And while you're thinking about that, another great question just came in, and that's about the rice milk. And this is a great question, and thank you for asking it. The question is, what kind of rice milk do I like using? And is it a sweetened rice milk or an unsweetened rice milk? And the answer to that is very simply, it's an unsweetened organic rice milk. I happen to use a company called Rice Dream, and I'm sure there's many other companies out there that make an equally good one. I like Rice Dream because it is organic, and they have an unsweetened, they have a sweetened variety, and also a vanilla flavored one. I only use the original unsweetened one, and I just do that because I try not to have any added sweeteners in our chocolate unless it's something that really needs to be. It's all about the balance. So if there's a sweetener in it, I like to add it myself. So it's not something that just comes from another company. So good question. And you could certainly try making it with the other milks and with a sweetened rice milk as well. You're not going to go wrong. You just might not need the extra sweetener in it. Okay, so I think we have an answer for you, and hopefully you've thought about that question. How many people worldwide consume chocolate on a daily basis? It was A, 1,000, B, 100,000, C, 1 million, or D, 1 billion people. So if you answered D, 1 billion people, you would be totally correct. And that is exactly right. 1 billion people daily consume and love chocolate. And why do you think that is? Well, my thoughts are that chocolate is one of the top 10 gifts that people love to give and, best yet, love to receive. So you being in this class tonight, learning all about the tricks of making chocolates and strawberries that are dipped in beautiful chocolate and a ganache, you can share this with your family, and Mother's Day coming up. What a wonderful gift this will make for someone that you care about. And also for you too, just to enjoy and learning the process of making something so delicious. Well, now while this is cooling down, I'm going to check this with our thermometer. And I think it's time to switch things up and ask a strawberry question. So, first strawberry question of the evening. Please tell me, when you look at this strawberry right here, and this is just like an average strawberry, maybe a little larger than average. These little seeds on the outside, these are what make baby strawberries. These are the seeds for future generations to come. How many seeds are on an average size strawberry? And I'm going to give you multiple choice options. A, is it 100 seeds? B, 200, C, 300, or D, 400 seeds on one average size strawberry. Okay, and while you're thinking about that, I'm going to grab that thermometer and see how we're doing. And remember, our goal is to bring this down from 114 degrees on the stove to being right around 86 to 88 degrees. Okay, let's see how we're doing. So we're going to take our temperature, thermometer rather, and let's see what it says. Okay, we are getting there. We have a little ways to go, but we're very close. We've got maybe, I'm going to say, a couple more minutes. Okay, so do you have an answer for me on the number of seeds on a typical average size strawberry? Is it A, 100, B, 200, C, 300, or D, 400 seeds? Okay, and the answer, little drum roll, is B. It's 200 seeds on an average size strawberry. So that's actually a lot of seeds when you think about it. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you another last strawberry question while we're letting this finish cooling. In what state in the United States has the largest production of strawberries? Okay. Is it A, Florida? Is it B, California? Is it C, Michigan? Or is it D, North Carolina? Okay, so while you ponder over that, I'm going to do one more temperature check because I can tell from the way the bowl is cooling down and just feeling it that we're getting very close. And the aroma, oh my goodness, it is smelling so heavenly in this kitchen. Okay. Okay, we are really right about there. Okay, so do you have an answer for me? Again, the question is, what state produces the most strawberries in the United States? Is it A, Florida, B, California, C, Michigan, or D, North Carolina? And the answer is actually California. And they produce a whopping 88% of the United States of all the strawberries produced. That's an amazing number, isn't it? And the second state is Florida. Okay, our tempered chocolate is looking absolutely divine. So it's the perfect consistency. It's got a wonderful, wonderful sheen to it. It's beautiful and smooth. And we're ready to do our strawberry dipping. Okay, so before we actually do our strawberry dipping, I would ask you to set up a little area where you can put some parchment paper on a little tray or a plate or something so you can have a place for your strawberries to actually dry. And when you have that set up, the next thing you'll want to do is take one of your beautiful washed strawberries like we have here and just have some fun with it. Just take this, and we're now going to get rid of this because we don't need our spoon anymore. And with your little green top, just swirl it around and have some fun with it. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that it's not totally covered. You want some of the red top to be totally visible. And then you're just going to add it right onto your parchment paper like that. And my suggestion is to do about 12 total strawberries so you can enjoy some as well as part for your setup for your display. So here's another beautiful organic strawberry. And of course, my next trivia question for you is, in what month is known as National Strawberry Month? Is it April, A, B, May, C, June, or D, July? So with our next strawberry, again, we're just going to hold it from the top and really swirl it around inside our chocolate. Sometimes you'll want to like just angle it a little bit so you can get it really covered nicely. And there you have it. You can just let it totally drip a little bit and then add it next to its neighbor right there. And this is our third strawberry. So our answer to that question about what is the month known for strawberries in the US, if you said May, you would be totally correct because May is National Strawberry Month. And of course, we're coming right up on May. Isn't that just heavenly? And with Mother's Day right around the corner, what a wonderful thing to do is to share some hand-dipped strawberries with your new techniques of learning how to temper chocolate. So here we have it. Add this right over here next to our other one. And then you'll do this with all of your strawberries. So now what I'd like to do is do a little bit more of our prep, get our strawberries cut up and make them really ready. And then we're going to take our ganache out of our refrigerator and see how it's looking. Okay, so with a little cutting board, you will now have some fun making some fun little faces with your strawberries. So you're going to want to take some nice sized strawberries and then just cut them up and slice them as I've done here. And I'll show you that right now. So take your strawberry and a sharp knife. And you want to slice it so you have a nice top there, like that. And then just make a few more slices right next to them. So like maybe, depending on the size of the strawberry, 3 or 4 more. And then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be slicing them and spreading them like this on our display. And that just makes a really nice way of sharing the strawberry and making it look so appetizing. And another thing I like to do with my strawberries, with a slightly smaller one, I like to basically make a little heart out of the strawberry, like that. So with doing that one, all you have to do is just slice your strawberry. You're going to cut your little top off and cut it in half, like that. And then just make a little V out of the top. And you can make your V slightly different sizes. So here we have a little V for us. And it's also nice to kind of do is just to have some bigger pieces like this to put on for display. So now we've got a few things to work with. Let's grab our ganache out of the refrigerator and see how it's coming along. Okay, so here's our ganache. It's been in the fridge. We made this earlier today. We're going to take the little lid off And you'll want to loosen it around the edges a little bit with your knife. And of course, take your saran wrap. And then what I like to do is actually make a little display with a small little cake plate with a little paper on it. And then let's put this right in the center and see how it looks. Okay. And then all we have to do is gently peel off our saran wrap. And we have this fun little mound. It's like a little mountain of ganache. And let's have some fun and just decorate a little bit. So we've got these beautiful strawberries we've been working on, right? So let's take one of the strawberries and let's just put off to the side. And then let's add our heart on the top, just like so. And let's add our another one on the other side, just like so. And there you have it. You can come up with many other ideas and many other things that you want to use and decorate with. And what I did over here when I had some time earlier is I made like a double batch. So this here is 2 batches of ganache. So it would just be the exact same amount doubled, and then in a larger container. And then just the same thing, put it in the refrigerator for a few hours. And then what I did is I turned it upside down and I decorated with all those beautiful blueberries. And blueberries are another powerhouse of antioxidants. And then I just drizzled some of the chocolate all around, and then add some fresh red strawberries and then some beautiful dipped chocolates to match. So have fun with making chocolate and strawberries and fruit. It's certainly the time. It's getting very close to summer, and it's just so creative and fun to create your own displays and your own designs for things. And it's a lovely way to give back to your friends and family. So coming up on Mother's Day, what a wonderful gift to have some handmade chocolate. And I know we've got a raffle coming up, and we're going to be giving away some chocolate to one lucky person. But if you don't happen to be that lucky person tonight, I'm here to share with you, Sweet Vegan has some amazing chocolates on our website. Please feel free to check us out. Our boxes are all handmade, and it's great to support women-owned companies, and of course, everything that's vegan. So we have amazing original flavors with all fresh, natural ingredients. So I'm so appreciative of you being here tonight. And of course, I'd love to find out, Olivia, if there's any questions or if there's anything I can help anybody with.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Chef Andrea. All of that looks absolutely delicious. I'm sure we're all hungry to eat some chocolate ourselves now. Yeah, so we'll do the Q&A now. We do have a couple questions so far, but if anyone has any additional questions, please feel free to write them in the chat. Okay, let's get going. So the first one is someone asked if you can do the same stuff with carob instead of cacao. I don't know if you've ever tried that or have any insight on that.
I haven't actually done that, but I know all about carob. And yes, the answer is you could definitely make it with carob. It might be a slightly bit more rice milk with it, but I would definitely give it a shot and then just adjust based on taste. But yes, you can certainly work with carob, no problem.
Good to know. Okay. How has Sweet Vegan changed with the events of COVID?
Well, that's a great question, because the world has certainly been turned upside down, including Sweet Vegan. I think we had to really reinvent ourselves and sort of ask, since there's no longer any events out there, what can we do to still make a difference and give back to our community? And the one thing that kept coming back was through events just like this, reaching out to other nonprofits that might want to have a reach out into people's homes. So doing these classes has been certainly a great opportunity for me to share Sweet Vegan and come up with new recipes myself. And then of course, just giving back to our first responders throughout the entire year has been an amazing gift. Hearing their stories, the different people in the fire departments, the EMS, and of course, all the nurses and the doctors in the hospitals, nominating and having them tell their stories in a blog that I've done. All those things have really contributed for me to have a greater understanding and an appreciation for everything that we all do for each other. So I think it's made me feel that we really want to connect on deeper levels and have Sweet Vegan connect with people to let them know that you can have a plant-based product like chocolate and it can taste amazingly delicious, even better than a lot of chocolates that are out there. And we can get into people's hearts with a quality product and be loving and tender and caring for the entire planet through this process. So it's taught me a lot. And I think I'm a stronger, more capable person. And certainly I think I have a better appreciation for each individual on the face of the earth through this trauma that we've all gone through. And certainly Sweet Vegan is grateful for all of you out there.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. It's so important to work with our community and give back as much as possible. That's wonderful. Um, Let me see. Oh, I know I mean, you were talking about how this is both making this recipe, but also just purchasing your chocolates would be so great for Mother's Day. Do you have any specials for Mother's Day? If
Yes,
I
I
wanted
do.
chocolate?
We're going to be doing a 10% off for everyone here tonight that's attended the class, because I always like to let people know how appreciative I am for showing up and just, contributing with your questions and your heart and an open mind and sharing the love of vegan products as well as chocolate. So yes, we're going to have a special code. I think it's VC10, and you're welcome to, I think I might have given you a little flyer or a poster that you can put up and share with people as well. But we're going to be honoring that. And we're also doing chocolate dipped strawberries. So anybody that happens to be in the New York area, or you have friends and loved ones in the New York area, and you would like to share with them some Sweet Vegan organic chocolate dipped strawberries, certainly call me. And throughout the next week, we're going to be doing a lot of chocolate dipping. And I'm glad to add your chocolate order into the mix and get them out to your friends and loved ones in the New York area. So those are a couple of the special things we've got happening.
Very nice. Sounds good. And yes, I do have that discount code for everyone attending the class. I will share that on the screen after the Q&A so you can all see that and write that down. Okay, someone wanted to know if they could see inside the ganache. I think they're just curious. I don't know if you're able to cut it open or anything like that.
You know what? I'm going to cut open maybe this small one that we did.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, and also
Okay,
Rachel, who's the one who was actually making it throughout the presentation, she says it turned out delicious, the one that she made. So
oh, super.
wonderful. Happy
So
to hear that, Rachel.
can you ask Rachel, would you be willing to send us a picture? If you
Sure.
send me a picture of your end result, I love to post them. I did a class 2 nights ago on blueberries, and I got some amazing blueberry bliss chocolate results, and I posted them all on Instagram. It was so much fun.
Very nice. How would you want if she wanted to send a picture and send it to you? Do you just want her to send it to you on Instagram?
She could send it to me on Instagram. She could send it to me on email. Either one is fine. My email is AndreaYoung111. And my Instagram, of course, is Sweet Vegan NYC. So hopefully you can see that. It's very dense and it's very, but it kind of melts in your hands. That's why I grabbed 2 knives, because it will basically, if I touch that, it will be melting all over the place. It's because it's a ganache. It definitely has that wonderful mouthfeel that just melts in your mouth. So you want to keep these always in the refrigerator until you're serving them. And then, of course, you could serve them slightly chilled or at room temperature. And really, to be honest with you, a little sliver like that with a beautiful strawberry right next to it, and you have an amazing little dessert.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that is really very filling and would leave anybody wanting more, but also completely satisfied. because we don't really use anything but coconut sugar. So the coconut sugar is not the same as white sugar is in terms of bringing up your, you know, the enzymes and everything in your pancreas. So I really encourage people to avoid white sugar where possible and use as much alternatives like coconut sugar.
Very
So
nice.
does that answer the question?
Yes, absolutely. And someone else, when you opened up your ganache, said it looks awesome and extremely tempting, which I definitely agree. I'm sure we all do.
Well,
And
this is the basis for my my dream bite chocolates.
Mhm.
So they're all ganache based. So when you order, you get a chance to try all my different flavors. So yes, definitely, it is really mouth watering and very fulfilling.
Absolutely. I can definitely attest to that. Um, Rachel said she posted a photo on Instagram. Rachel, I don't know if you did or not, but make sure to tag Sweet Vegan NYC, I believe, is her handle, and maybe she'll share it and repost it to her story or something like that. But
Yes, I would love
awesome.
to, Rachel. That would be super.
Wonderful. Um, okay. Another question is just what made you specifically want to make vegan chocolates, or what led you towards
Mhm.
the path of them being vegan and working in the vegan field?
That's a great question. I started off actually, my background is, from the little bio and introduction, being a designer. And I always loved making things beautiful. And it wasn't until my mother came to visit and she took a fall in New York and she had to be hospitalized. And we discovered not only did she have a fracture, but the doctors told us in the hospital that she was malnourished. And this is a highly educated woman who had raised 5 children in Indianapolis and had a master's degree, and she was malnourished. How could this be, right? So I hired someone to come into her home and work with us. And that person turned out to be a plant-based chef. I knew nothing about plant-based world. I just was desperate to get somebody in to help my mom get well. And that person really revolutionized my thinking and it opened new avenues for my mom to really get healthy. And what I discovered is that my mom was eating a lot of fast food. She wasn't doing the time to make quality food for her meals anymore. She was living alone in Florida. And by living back with me for the summer, we cooked together. It brought back memories of our family childhood and the good memories of making great quality food together. So we both were plant based for the entire summer. At the end of the summer, the good news, my mom was actually pushing her wheelchair instead of being in the wheelchair. So in 3 short months, the nutrition and all the love that we were pouring into it really revolutionized the way she thought and how she felt. So I thought, if this could happen to my mom, what more could it do for me? So I started taking cooking classes, never thinking I would become a vegan chef, just for my own knowledge. And as my industry began to have some challenges, I decided to really pursue a little bit more in the cooking world. And I started getting opportunities working for some famous celebrities in New York City and doing some relief chef work a couple of days a week. And so, literally, I had an amazing experience teaching at Integral Yoga, being a chef and cooking classes, and then working for these celebrities throughout the city on different times and doing cooking classes in people's homes. And I knew this really felt right to me. It felt right at home. And the one thing I could never find when I was cooking was an amazing chocolate. So I started developing my own flavors and coming up with my own ways of making things. And sure enough, people started saying, could you make me some of those blueberry bliss chocolates? Could you make me some energizing espresso? I loved your luscious lemon. Could you make me some of those? So little by little, that's what happened. I started getting demands and requests, and I decided to really pursue becoming a chef and a chocolatier. So that all happened in about 2016. And then I really got my company off the ground in 2019 after I developed all the recipes for about 18 months. So thank you for that question.
Of course. What a great story. Really, like let food be the medicine. It's really so
Yes.
healing. That's wonderful. So happy. Okay. There is one question about the directions for the recipe. Let me see. Joshua says the directions say to put ganache into a container with a lid and 2 layers of strawberries and refrigerate. but he says he doesn't see strawberries in the piece you sliced. And he's
Correct.
just confused. Did you just make one without strawberries?
Yes, I don't necessarily think you have to add the strawberries. You could do it, but I think sometimes it's a little overkill. So especially when I'm doing the demos, it starts to get a little messy. So my suggestion, Joshua, is leave the strawberries out and then make the strawberries fresh so that you can have them in your display. And people really seem to more enjoy the chocolates and then the strawberries separately. I only know that from my own like taste testing and development and having people in my home enjoying the strawberries and the chocolates together.
Very nice. Yeah, it's great. You can kind of do your own version of it, whatever sounds best to you.
Absolutely.